to see.
Yeah, I'm accepting that for sure.
So,
Just a point
sorry,
of
Worship?
clarification, if I could. Just a point of clarification, if I could. Active transportation, it actually falls under infrastructure, if I'm not mistaken. Is that not true, Jeremy?
I would say, but it's under the safety services meeting this, so I just wasn't sure when to address.
Yeah, we just got an update from it, Your Worship.
I'm sorry, I wasn't looking at the.
Sorry if I stole anybody's thunder on that one.
It is under the Infrastructure Committee, but it's also very pertinent to the Safety Services Committee because it does take into traffic studies and other information that we'll be looking at regarding the safety of residents in the town. So it does feel okay.
Thank you. Moving on from that, the last report was on the fire company, and that is in your package. I know the first meeting of the new board is next week, so I'm looking forward to that. The first meeting I'll be attending. 23 calls in January. The majority of them for Crossroads Fire Department were in Stratford, obviously. A lot of motor vehicle accidents, so obviously challenging scenes and challenging circumstances there. So again, want to thank all of the members of our Crossroads Fire Department for all the work they do. It's a tough job, and it's a volunteer. We have to remember that they're going to do things that are really tough, and it can put a strain on you. So I just want to think about them and thank them for all the things they do. It's not all fires. There's a lot of tough things. So just keep them in your thoughts with that, and continue to wish them luck. Other than that, I attended a meeting of Citizens on Patrol on Monday, January 30th. Interesting to meet with that group. I'd never met with them before. They're very passionate about helping folks in the community. They could use another 5 or 6 volunteers, so if there's anyone out there who's interested, they seem to have a really good time doing it and feel really great about looking after the safety of our residents. So if you have any interest in that, please reach out to myself or the town and let us know. We'd love to have some more.
I think if I could just comment on that,
Sure.
Councillor Jackson. I think the Citizens on Patrol perform a very valuable function to our town, but I think there's also, I participated in a couple of nights, last term. I went out a couple of times with them, and they're a very sociable bunch, and you get to meet a lot of new people, and it's sort of neat to be out on a Thursday, Friday, or Saturday night, or whatever nights they're out. Hear the police radio and all that sort of thing. So it's kind of a neat experience, and you meet good people, and you provide a valuable service to your community. So I think altogether it's a win-win situation for everyone involved.
Absolutely. Thank you, Worship. Any questions? That is the end of my report. Thank you.
Thanks for your report, Councillor Jackson. We'll now move on to, are there any other questions on the Safety Services report? If not, we'll move on to Recreation, Culture, and Events. And I'll ask the chair of that committee, Councillor Jill Chandler, to give her report.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm just going to try and provide an overview of the projects that are currently being worked on within the Recreation, Culture, and Events Department. And further detail can be found in the full agenda, or in the report submitted in the agenda package. As most of you know, on Monday, February 6th, the town of Stratford hosted the Canada Games Torch Relay. It was postponed from its original date on February 3rd due to the extreme cold weather. The torch relay, which was followed by a celebration of the town center gymnasium, was a great success. We'd like to thank the community for its support, and a special thank you to the 15 torchbearers, including Deputy Mayor Steve Gallant, who did a great job. As well, we would like to wish the very best to all Canada Games athletes, coaches, and mission staff. The full report in your agenda package highlights more than 30 athletes from Stratford who are representing PEI in various sports of the Games. And we also wanted to recognize, and this is significant, Stratford's own Ryan Dwyer, is participating in not one but two sporting events in the Canada Games, and his sports occur in the same week of the Games. And Ryan has also been named the opening ceremony's flag bearer for the island. So I think, congratulations, Ryan.
And he's doing both hockey and gymnastics.
That's right. Yeah.
You got a good pedigree from Gordy and.
Yes. We wanted to note that the Canada Games gymnastics will be hosted at the Norton Diamond Centre from February 20th to 24th. And also wanted to let you know that the town will host a children's cultural event as part of the Canada Games on Saturday, March 5th. The arts and culture, we're going to hold our first arts and culture subcommittee meeting this month. And I wanted to just kind of bring to your attention a couple of things that have happened or are about to happen. On Saturday, January 21st and Sunday, January 22nd, the town held a lantern making workshop, and more than 70 community members of all ages and skill levels came out to create lanterns that are now on display in the gymnasium. And I had the opportunity to attend this with one of my kids, and it was fantastic. And I just think that Ryan and Tanya, they do a fantastic job. And these offerings just are a wonderful benefit to our community and would be appealing to such a broad range. So congratulations on that. Wanted to highlight that after a 2-year hiatus, Winterfest returns to the town center on Saturday, February 18th and runs through Monday, February 20th, which coincides with Islander Day. And this event features youth center-led flea market and fun fair that is broadly programmed with a combination of both free and ticketed options. And more detail on that event can be found in the report. Stratford Youth Council, or Centre and Council, is starting a project to address safety concerns regarding the crosswalk on Bunbury Road at the entrance to Cotton Park. And I think this is very interesting. The Youth Council will be setting up meetings with the government as well as creating a public awareness campaign in the coming months. And from what I understand, this initiative was spurred on by one of the youth center members saying that they had that it was a dangerous spot, and I think that they've kind of started at the beginning and are learning valuable skills as to how to address an opportunity or an issue. So I think that's really, really significant. The group has started a new leadership club for youth in grades 6 to 11, and participants will work to organize different projects, events, and fundraisers while learning new leadership skills. And this group will also be working on fundraising to participate in a leadership tour in the summer of 2024 across Eastern Canada. Youth Center Drama Club will be hosting auditions this week for their spring production in May, and I understand that all youth members that are interested in audition will have a role in the spring production, and we'll hear more details on that. Youth Center will be hosting 2 weeks of February, March break, or like Canada Games sort of activities over the break, and the regular programming clubs will occur as usual with extended drop-in sessions and a number of additional offerings and events for youth members. We would like to recognize that 2 Youth Center members are participating in the Canada Games, and that's Daniel McLeod, who's in grade 11 from Mermaid, who's participating in fencing, and Mara Duncan, who's in grade 6 from Stratford. And Mara will be participating in wheelchair basketball on Team New Brunswick, which is a combined team with Prince Edward Island. So congratulations. As far as winter recreational programs, they continue to be in high demand. We only have 8 vacant spots amongst all the recreational activities offered by the town. The morning tennis program for youth and adults has proven to be a welcomed addition to the town's offerings. Our open gym time is once again being offered on Friday afternoons after a restructuring of the gym schedule. And the gym schedule now sees baseball and softball programs being offered on weekday and evenings. We wanted to note that the Stratford Skills and Drills program, which had over 30 participants, concludes March 25th at Pownell Sports Centre. As far as our outdoor winter activities, obviously there's been some really unique weather circumstances. The town is focused on maintaining groomed and cleared trails along with our outdoor skating rinks. Pondside rinks are currently operational, and lights are on between 5 and 10 p.m. for evening skating. Weather conditions and the lack of significant snow have made it challenging to get the ice established at Bunbury Center, but the town is attempting to work through this and hopes to have that ice surface up and running soon, from what I understand. On an aside, I wanted to say that I have had the pleasure of attending some of the events, the torch relay and the lantern making sessions, and it is so wonderful to see the town staff working and interacting with the community, and I can see what a great job they all do. And I know that they've spoken with residents of the torch relay and heard very favorable comments, and it's really neat. I'm really glad to have the opportunity to be participating and seeing them do what they do so well. And this kind of leads into, earlier in January, I attended a workshop, and it was called Fostering Resilience in Women Municipal Leaders. And the series was led by the PEI Coalition for Women in Government in partnership with the Federation of PEI Municipalities. The session included a Q&A with former Senator and former Town Councillor in Stratford, Diane Griffin. And I also had the pleasure of hearing Patsy Huggins speak. And Patsy's the founder of the Atlantic Summer Institute. And she advocates for the importance of mental health in all policies. And Patsy did a great job. I found it very inspiring, but of just pointing out the crucial role that municipal government and our programming plays in maintaining mental and physical well-being. And she brought up some case studies about how successful communities have been where youth are engaged, and there's lots of opportunities for recreational and connections, and that it leads to much better outcomes in their youth and adulthood. So we're doing great things, so continue. Thanks, that's my report for now.
Thank you for your report. Any comments or questions on Councillor Chandler's report?
First, Councillor, I just want to say, I want to echo what you said about the torch relay and the lantern building. I went to both with my family, and very well received, very well done. And I just want to echo your comments about the appreciation extended to the staff. They've done a wonderful job, really opening our doors and making people feel welcome, and giving people lots of things to do, and really getting in the spirit of the game. So very well done to you and Jeremy and all the staff there. I have a question about the outdoor rinks at Pondside. Now, there's 2 rinks from what I understand, and I've had 1 or 2 I guess perhaps comments, I wouldn't say them complaints from constituents in Ward 2, just about if it's possible to have one designated with a sign for hockey and one designated with a sign for free skating. I don't know if that's something that we could do.
And that is the intent of the 2 arenas there, or the 2 ice surfaces there. The larger of the 2 ice surfaces, which is on the multi-use court, is designated for hockey ringette. And then the one that's on the on the tennis courts is designated as skating only. There should be signage there, and I will check on that first thing in the morning. But there has been signage to that effect in previous years.
Okay, great, thank you. I haven't been there, so
Okay.
Just a couple questions, Jill. Just to echo concerns there with the crosswalk on Bunbury Road there across from the Cotton Park, with the kids, youth center are they're approaching the PEI government, looking for a light fixture there, to go across there. How is that? Just wondering if we can help them. How can we help them as councillors? I'm all for it, support it, right? It's what's the process? You know the process, Jeremy, then?
You can go ahead, yeah.
Yeah, so that started as an initial discussion amongst the youth about their concerns about that crosswalk, and a lot of it stemmed from the Christmas in the park with the Harry James lights at the community gardens, where people were going back and forth between the 2 locations, between the Cotton Park and the community gardens. And so what stemmed from there is that Dwayne Pino, who runs our youth and family, is our youth and family coordinator, thought it was a good opportunity to be a learning exercise where they can be educated on the process of identifying a risk or an opportunity and then going through the proper channels and developing a plan, reaching out to the appropriate authorities to talk. So they've just started that process. It's something that they'll probably be coming here to, if they've the steps that I understand that they have established already, they'll come to our town council to have a discussion. Ultimately, the roads are the responsibility of the province. They'll have those discussions. I know talking with MLA Michelle Beaton, that's something that's of interest to her to have those, be involved with those discussions. Ultimately, it's probably a discussion we have with the Doty representatives or staff members and that sort of thing. So it's a great learning opportunity instead of just going straight to the papers or something like that to make their plea. It's probably following the proper channels and understanding what the measures that have to take place to get such whether it be a crosswalk or a light or whatever it may be installed at that location.
Yeah, well, that area is increasing, like Rosrec and Chair Rec, was there many times. It's dark, we had to get a generator for the light. I was there, flags, red flags, and almost, struck a couple times, but it's needed, especially now every year with the Harry James, with the Christmas lights coming there, and it's going to be an annual, and it's going to get bigger and bigger every year.
I just think the process they're taking is just a wonderful learning opportunity for our youth, and it's a skill that they'll be able to take with them forever.
Well, let's help push them too, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And the second question I have is, as a representative of Ward 3, the Bunbury Rink, we talked about it, and moving forward, I think with Pondside up and going and the other rink, and we're at a service over in Bunbury in Ward 3, it's sort of disappointing, but I understand what's going on because we don't have that base there, the water, the pool, like the hold the water in. We have to freeze it and freeze and freeze it, and then all of a sudden the ground's frozen. But I think budget time this year, we should look at getting the
rink liner.
The liner, and you're saying the liner is worth about $3,500?
For a rink that size, yes.
Yeah. But I think we should start because every year in Bunbury, we're behind a week or two a Pondside, right? And our neighbors, so I was just wondering, and you know that problem too, Jeremy. You're doing the best you can.
It's and Bunbury is probably the most utilized rink that we have traditionally every winter. But it's a natural ice surface, essentially old school, making it packing snow down and then adding the ice or adding water, to make ice as weather conditions permit. Unfortunately, this winter has been almost like an extended fall, so to speak, up to the last week and a half. So weather conditions haven't been great. When you use in comparison the two ice surfaces that are at Pondside, they're essentially small swimming pools, so to speak, with the liner traps the water and you put it in, and it just sits there until the weather permits it to freeze.
Yeah, comes and goes, but it'll probably be easier if we put a liner in there, and then with the volunteers we have, they do a great job there. Well, the workers, staff, and so on. Craig Jaggins at nighttime. So, I'm just saying we should always get behind over there. We're always 2 or 3 weeks behind, and maybe down the road, like you were talking to me about, let's get a liner. Let's pay $3,500, and maybe we get. I know you only get 3 or 4 weeks a year, but let's not lose them, right?
We can definitely have those discussions as part of the budget, part of the budget process.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, any other comments, questions on the recreation?
Yeah, Your Worship, I do, it's similar to what Deputy Mayor was talking about. I'd love to see, and I'll probably bring it up at budget time, is perhaps having some type of an outdoor rink, either in the kind of the eastern end of like Ward, whether it be Upper McNeil or somewhere that end of town could access. Nice and level there. I know the water's probably not that accessible there, but something for the residents of Clearview, Mount Herbert, Reeves, somewhere up in that way. I know Bunbury's not that far away, but if there's a possibility with something with a bladder in it that you could.
Yeah,
I know there was talk at one point around in the space in Clearview maybe having a small rink, but just something to think about for. Later.
Yeah, just going back to the from the minutes of the last meeting, Mayor Ogden mentioned it earlier, the outdoor skating oval potential at McNeil Field. I did check on that following the last council meeting. There would be required some prep work in the fall to essentially seal the gravel around that track, and then also after that it would have to be packed down with snow. It's not the most ideal conditions right now, but something that we can look forward to potentially for next fall or next winter. And there was one other item, and just in regards to the, that was brought up earlier, that I thought I would address, was the council meeting with the youth council staff, or the youth council, what are they? Tour of the youth center, but also meeting with the youth council has their own meetings and monthly meetings, and they create all the activities that take place down there, and almost having like a junior council. And again, Dwayne Pino, who oversees our youth and family coordinator, he's going to be reaching out to council to set up a possibility for council to go down there and spend an evening with them, and then also for them to return and be part of this whole process once a month as well.
Sorry to say this again, Jeremy, but there appears to be something wrong with your mic. I'm just catching bits and pieces of what you're saying. But anyway, I guess the long and the short of it is that you're looking into that, having a joint meeting of the council and the youth council?
Yes, that's what we're trying to do.
Okay, that'd be great. Thank you. Any other comments or questions on the recreation report? If not, we'll thank you for your report, Councillor Chandler, and we'll move on to finance and technology. I'll ask Councillor Ron Dowling, who's the chair of that committee, to give his report.
Thank you, Your Worship. January 18th was the first meeting of the Finance and Technology Committee, and I had the pleasure of meeting our resident committee members, Lauren Vale, Roger McDonald, Khalid Shami, and Pat Ryan. Again, I think I mentioned during the meeting that it was unique to my experience to work with committee members, and I'm very confident that with their varied expertise and continued input, and that of all staff members, members of council and other residents throughout the year, that this committee will be both very productive and informative. The committee terms of reference were circulated to all committee members, and we all understood our respective responsibilities. We're currently filling a vacancy for one additional resident committee member, which we hope to have in place soon. Director of Finance and Technology, Kim O'Connell, provided a list of a few items that she and her team are working on. First, with a reminder that the utility bill payments are due on February 13th. Budget preparations are underway, and the first meeting with council will be February 13th. Training for staff was held on January 31st on the Sustainable Procurement Toolkit, and we're looking forward to furthering that project. Applications are being reviewed for the financial coordinator position, and we hope to set up interviews soon. Work is continuing on the Hurricane Fiona disaster claims, and working with the insurance adjusters on the damaged town properties continues, as well as work on the municipal capital expenditure grant for 2021-2022 submission, and also working on government claims for current capital projects, as well as reviewing projects to see which assets are completed in the current year, and communicating with other municipalities on budget items. And the director is working closely in training with Stephanie DeWitt on the finance coordinator role files until the position has been filled. And staff are gathering information to finalize payroll data for the annual T4 preparation, and staff is busy with day-to-day tasks. As I mentioned, the first budget meeting with staff and council is the 13th, but also the second on the 17th and the third on the 24th. As we're all aware, staff have been working very hard in recent months in preparation of a proposed draft budget. There will be a public pre-budget presentation on the draft budget, which will provide residents the opportunity for further input prior to formal approval by council 2 weeks later. The date for the presentation will be set and made public soon. On the technology side of things, the committee discussed issues related to cybersecurity, phishing, and other scams, and it was felt that an awareness campaign of some sort would be of assistance to residents, in addition to the information currently provided by police and other sources. And that dovetails well with Corporal Weatherby's comments that there's a significant increase in recent weeks or months in those areas. Director O'Connell advised that our new staff member for IT has been keeping a close watch on new protocols and that they will be exploring options available to inform the public on an ongoing basis, such as tips in the Town Talk newsletter and e-newsletter. She also noted that the town has completed an anti-phishing program in the past and that staff would explore the option of doing another one. We look forward to further exploration of those potential initiatives. Are there any questions arising from my report? Okay. The unapproved minutes from the January 18, 2023 committee meeting have been circulated to council previously, as have the financial statements. Are there any questions arising from the financial statements?
Looks like we're in pretty good shape.
Yeah, there being no questions, then, Your Worship, that will constitute my report.
Well, thank you very much for your report. Councillor Dowling, that was a great report, and doing a great job. It sounds like you got a great committee, and look forward to the budget process and getting us through that. That'll be a great accomplishment. Okay, we'll move on to planning, development, and heritage. I'll ask Councillor Jeff McDonald, chair of that committee, to give his report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So with respect...
Jeff, just before you start, if you don't mind, if I could just interrupt you for a second.
Yeah?
I just want to welcome, just inform that MLA Michelle Beaton has been with us from the start, I guess, and I neglected to welcome her, so I'd like to welcome MLA Michelle Beaton and thank her for attending.
Yes.
Sorry,
No.
Sorry, Councillor.
Not a problem. Councillor Jackson did recognize Miss Beaton's attendance, and so we sincerely appreciate her being here. So in terms of not finance and technology, that's Ron. Planning and development. In terms of this month, we had a really excellent discussion on January 30th about some of the more pressing issues in terms of planning and development. I want to begin this oral report, we don't have any written reports today, to recognize the incredible efforts of Dale McKeegan and Sarah Kennedy in the planning department. They've been working somewhat with one hand tied behind their backs in terms of some resourcing, in terms of getting some projects out the door, and I just want to sincerely acknowledge and send out a real sincere appreciation for their efforts that they've put in since the new year. On that front, we had a really great discussion about the Crossroads development. Work is still being undertaken in that on that file, and certainly it is moving forward, I think, in a positive manner. We had a really great discussion about what it's looking like and what that's going to mean for the town. Nothing concrete on that as of yet, but work certainly continues, and work is moving forward, I think, in a really positive manner on that. In terms of updates on other matters, we don't have any resolutions put towards you from planning this month. We are a little more quiet in that regard. When you look at the permit summary, which is found at 12B, we do have an application in for a fairly substantial duplex, which is always exciting to see that we're starting the new year with already some planning applications in terms of the value on that. So we look forward to more in that regard, and of course we'll do our best to balance all of our major projects with the regular day-to-day in planning. In terms of new items for discussion, if you recall, what we asked to do is include a new agenda item in terms of the discussion on short-term rentals. Dale is here. He is prepared to speak to that, and I'd call on him at this point in time.
In regards to, can you hear me, Your Worship?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. In regards to the short-term rentals, the bylaw and the licensing and street vendoring bylaw that are on our work plan for 2023, we don't want to hold it up, but under our current situation, we want to make sure that it proceeds to completion sometime this year for both of those. They're very important in how we regulate our community and allow residents to understand what we're doing. So what we decided to do was contact 3 consulting firms and ask them if they were interested in assisting us in the preparation of those bylaws so that we can focus on the development and other projects that are going on. And as we move into the building season, it's going to get busier as it is. So we had some response back from them and interest, so which is good. I think by having those consultants come in and help us with some of these projects will certainly ensure that these get done and get incorporated into our official plan and bylaw sort of thing, which is crucial. So that process is well underway, and I think once we decide on who the consultant will be, it'll allow us a little more freedom in the planning department to do other things and provide the quality customer service that we're used to providing. So that's kind of where it's at this point in time. We have a lot of legwork done on the short-term rentals bylaw, which we've had a meeting last year with the planning board and presented a pretty detailed package. So from that perspective, it's going to be available at any point in time if anybody wants to read it or obtain it. But that's our plan moving forward, and I think it's a good plan, and it'll work better for us. Thank you.
Any comments or questions from council on this?
Just, Deputy Mayor Glant, just Dale, or sorry, Jeff, just on the short-term rentals, I know it's a long process too. It's probably a year away we're probably looking at, right? I know Charlottetown has got theirs up and coming here in March after the Canada Winter Games. So we're looking at, do we want to say those numbers or we just want to say a year away?
I think the key to this is as we progress through this whole process with short-term rentals, once the town itself decides on the direction it wants to go in, that will help determine the scope and magnitude of the project itself. So I think as we go further along, I mean, in the information that was provided last year, it gave a good understanding of the amount of work that can go into a short-term rental accommodations bylaw. Again, I'm back to saying it depends on the direction we decide we want to go in. So I think that'll help us clarify things more as we go through the process.
And just Deputy Mayor, if I might on that, when you look at the Charlottetown experience, for instance, they announced their regulations last year, and then a so-called grandfathering grace period, I would say, was put into effect. I would expect if we do look at some form of regulation here in the town, we would likely be looking at something similar in terms of that. So in terms of a practical reality on that, you're not going to see anything, for instance, for this summer's tourism season, if that makes sense. It would be the next, it would be the next term, if that makes sense. And we want to do that to balance whatever our regulations might look like with whatever people might have made in terms of investments in real estate in the town at this point in time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Any other comments or questions on this? Okay, we'll ask maybe if you can move to the next item.
So in terms of that's really it at this point in time for planning, development, and heritage. There's, I guess, well, I should say on the heritage side of things, there is a new project that's being undertaken in terms of a new panel that looks like it's going to be, or we're looking to develop into a joint project about the story of two Mi'kmaq sisters who are Rachel and Blanche Thomas. There's a fairly reasonable cost associated with that. We're looking to explore some sharing of that with some other groups. I really look forward to having that implemented in the near future, but at this point in time, it's in the early stages. Other than that, that would be the report from Planning, Development, and Heritage at this point in time, subject to any questions in general.
Okay, thank you for your report, Councillor McDonald. Appreciate it. Okay, well, if there are no other questions, we'll move on to infrastructure. I'll ask our Deputy Mayor, Steve Gallant, to give his report.
Yeah, thank you, Worship. We met on the first time the infrastructure committee met on, was it January 16th? Everybody showed up. We just had one regret, Cliff Campbell. Meeting went right over well. So it's great to meet everybody, starting off the new year. For February, the Down East Landscape continues to assist with the efforts to remove down trees along our trails and our parks, playgrounds, and green spaces. Repairs to the town center main enters were completed in January as a result of water damage from the sprinkler system activation in December. Several infrastructure projects are progressing well and are on track for tender and closing. Tendered in February, such as the water front boardwalk, the Kinlock Road multi-purpose path, community campus site servicing, design and build of a second water reservoir, upgrades at Corey Sewage Lift Station, and upgrades at the Bunbury Lift Station. Staff have been heavily involved with the review and coordination with the consultants to keep these designs and projects on schedule. Of course, the upland planning and design is continuing work on updates of active transportation. Master plan is on schedule for the first delivery. Infrastructure staff have been busy the following. Ongoing maintenance of town-owned properties and trails. The outdoor maintenance is ongoing. Clearing, salting, sanding of town walkways and parking lots are ongoing. Regular maintenance and equipment ongoing. Bylaw complaints, investigations are ongoing. The sewer and water infrastructure maintenance and inspection is ongoing on a daily basis. And water and sewer inspections and water turnoffs for new development is ongoing. During the month of January, there was no major sewer or water emergency, which is great with the minus 40 winds and so on, and everything went out with a hitch. So that's my report. So just waiting for the ground to thaw, so we start digging there in April. Anyways, that's my report, Your Worship. Any questions?
Thank you. Any comments or questions on Deputy Mayor Lance report?
So, Deputy Mayor, I just had a question. When I looked at the committee report from January the 16th, in terms of the Rosebank Road speed humps, I see that at this point in time, they're approved by the town, but there appear to be some strong objections to those speed humps. Was there any alternatives offered in terms of like a radar speed device, anything of that nature, or where are things at with that?
Yep. I haven't been involved in that at this term, but last term, I know what you're talking. I have an idea what you're talking about. So, Jeremy, you can answer those questions. Was on and off, and I know what your good concerns, Jeff.
Yeah, there was quite a bit of discussion with regard to the speed humps, and there was some opposition, and we did have a couple of meetings with regard to that, and frankly, we ran out of time with regard to having a contractor go in and construct them. So we put it off. We also had some discussions with the Department of Transportation. They indicated that they are open to some traffic calming measures potentially on that piece of road, which we've been asking for several years. So unfortunately, we haven't heard back anything from them on the options. I said, well, give us some options to look at, and we would certainly like to take you up on that. So we'll follow up on that further. There is a speed control device on there now, speed radar device, and we do ask the RCMP to do some extra patrols from there from time to time. I think speeding has declined a little bit from what we've seen in the past because there is less construction going on the lower parts of that road, but still, it is a road that's very conducive to speed, and we would like to still pursue something to slow the traffic down, so we're working on that.
Okay, any other questions or comments on the infrastructure report? Thank you very much for your report, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you.
And we'll now move on to Committee of the Whole, and I'll ask, we have some resolutions here, and the minutes are in your package. The minutes of January 25th are in your package. I'll ask Deputy Mayor Gallant to move those resolutions, if you wouldn't mind, Deputy Mayor.
No problem. The first resolution here is CW 004-2023, procedural bylaw amendment 47B-2, second reading. Committee of the Whole, moved by Councillor Gallant. Whereas it's desirable to rename Accountability Engagement Committee to be now known as Intergovernmental Affairs and Accountability Committee to be better reflect the current and upcoming work of the committee. Whereas a change to the terms of reference is also required to reflect the work of the Intergovernmental Affairs Accountability Committee. Whereas it is desirable to discontinue the Events Subcommittee and have the work of this committee now be reflected in the Recreation, Culture and Events Committee with use of an ad hoc and one-time community volunteers as required. Being it resolved that the attached bylaw number 47B, a bylaw to amend the council's procedural bylaw number 47, be hereby read and approved a second time. And
You move that?
yep, I'll move that. I need a seconder.
I'll second.
Seconded by Jeff McDonald, Councilor McDonald.
Okay, any comments or discussion? If not, I'll ask a call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone against? Motion carried. Okay, another resolution?
Yep, the second resolution is CW 005-2023, procedure bylaw amended 47B, adoption. A committee of the whole, moved by myself, Deputy Mayor Gallant. Whereas Council read and approved the Council procedure bylaw amendment for the first time on January 11, 2023. Whereas Council read and approved the Council procedure bylaw amendment to the second time on February 8, 2023. Be it resolved that attached Council procedural bylaw number 7/B, be hereby adopted, and that the Mayor and Chief Administration Officer be authorized to affix their signatures and the corporate seal of the town thereto, and to be formally declared the said bylaw passed.
Okay, so moved?
Moved by myself, yep. Seconded by,
Okay,
I'll second that as well.
have a second?
Yep.
seconded by Councilor McDonald.
Okay, any discussion or comments? Okay, call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those against? Motion carried. Okay, thank you very much. The minutes, any questions or comments on the minutes of Committee of the Whole? Okay, if not, I guess, Councillor Cox, thank you for redoing those resolutions, Deputy Mayor, and
Yep.
we'll move on to item 15, sustainability.
Yep.
And Councillor Cox, who chairs that committee, is not able to provide his report today because he's in Ottawa, here in Ottawa, so I'll ask, the deputy chair is, let's see, who's the deputy chair?
Yes, Councillor Dowling, Your Worship, I have a report that has been forwarded to me by Councillor Cox to read aloud on his behalf.
Just before you do, if you don't mind, excuse me, sorry to interrupt you. I have to sign off now, so I'm going to turn the chair over to Deputy Mayor Gallant. But I'm also, I hate to put you on the spot, Councillor Jackson, but as Deputy Chair of Accountability and Engagement, I wonder if you would mind providing the report in my place.
Sure, I'd be happy to, Your Worship. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. And I want to thank everybody for their patience, for allowing me to take part in this tonight, and I wish you all the best for the rest of your meeting. So with that, I'm going to have to say goodbye. I have to get downstairs for the award ceremony, and where, as I said earlier, I'll be very honored to accept the award on behalf of the town, along with former sustainability coordinator Katie Saunier and Chair of Sustainability Gordy Cox. So anyway, all the best, and take care. Thanks a lot. See you, everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Bye.
Okay, so we're down to 15, sustainability, and the report will be read by co-chair Councillor Dowling.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Glant. On behalf of Gordy Cox, I can report that the Sustainability Committee held their first meeting with the new committee on February 1st, and they have a great group of residents around the table to advise us, and are looking forward to getting to work with them. They bring a wide area of expertise and experience and will be a great asset to the town throughout their coming term. As was mentioned earlier in the meeting, Mayor Ogden and Councillor Cox, along with staff member Katie Saunier, are attending the Federation of Canadian Municipalities Sustainable Communities Conference in Ottawa this week. It is a great opportunity for them to meet with other municipal leaders, discuss opportunities in this area, and learn about the opportunities and challenges facing Canadians while also looking at solutions. And they look forward to bringing back ideas for further discussion to Council. And of course, they'll also be accepting our National Climate Award for our participation with the SWITCH program. A few highlights of the projects and initiatives underway in the town that the staff are working diligently on include the SWITCH Stratford program, which remains busy with residents getting their projects underway and completed while their existing funds still available. The Community Energy Plan and Greenhouse Gas Inventory Report was provided to the committee meeting. Staff are now working on a plan to release this information in the near future to update residents on our progress. Yeah. The Think Stratford radio campaign continues highlighting some of the town's activities and programs, as well as providing our business community with the opportunity to promote themselves as well. The Senior Match and Exchange Program, Stratford Connects, will hold an information session on Thursday, February 16th at 2 p.m. for anyone interested in learning more about this recently launched program. And our RSVP is requested to our engagement and research coordinator, Jade Vera, in case of a weather or other cancellation, weather event or other event requires a cancellation of that session on February 16th at 2 p.m. That is it for the Sustainability Committee report. I just, Deputy Mayor, have a quick comment in relation to the Diversity and Inclusion Committee, which also held their first meeting last week. As well, and have a great group of residents also providing input and advice to the town through it. They had a great first meeting with lots of ideas shared and are now working through and providing their feedback on some priorities they wish to tackle from the town's diversity and inclusion report. So if there's any questions, I'm sure Director Watts would be happy to address them.
Yes. Any questions, concerns around the table?
If I may ask, just on the SWITCH program,
Yes.
and this may be, not sure who maybe will answer this, how are we doing? I know we had, I mean, it's been a great program. I took part in it before, and actually was in the hopper. Had another something actually installed this week as part of that. That was approved last year. So that, I know a lot of the folks that were approved last year and had signed agreements were able to go back and actually have those complete, which is great. Unfortunately, there were some folks who were in the middle of the process that went ahead and had some work done, and I know they're probably out of luck, but you know, hopefully there's not too many of those. But just any update on where we're at with SWITCH and how the second round has been received, and I know the first one was terrific. So.
Yep. So we have a response from CEO Mr. Jeremy Crosby here.
It's interesting that you asked that question. We were meeting this afternoon, myself and Maddie, to discuss SWITCH program and a bunch of other projects that Maddie has underway now that she's returned. But we are asking for a meeting with the Pace Atlantic folks next week or the week after to get updated. But from what I understand from the Director of Finance, about 5 months worth of projects left that we can complete. So the uptake is still quite high. We are going to discuss with Pace Atlantic on if there are any options to continue the program and what they may look like. We'll bring those back to council, but it could be potentially between 5 to 6 months that the program may come to an end.
Excellent, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Crosby. Any other questions? Anybody around? Jeff? Jill? No questions? Everybody good? Okay, that's the sustainability report. Now we'll move on to the accountability engagement, and it's going to be The report by co-chair Councillor Jody Jackson.
Thank you. Just to give some highlights of our meeting of January 26th. So similar with some of the other councillors have said, like, first meeting with these groups, really impressed with the residents who have applied and who've been appointed to these committees. This one was just another example of that, some terrific experience and diversity of opinions on it, and it was a really good discussion, and I'm really excited to be on this committee with Mayor Ogden. So just a little bit of an update. I'll just touch on a few things here. So that day was actually the launch of the annual resident survey, and Wendy had gone through that and spoke to the group about it. And I mentioned at that meeting, you know, one of these things that we hear out there in the community is the value of that survey and how it actually is utilized to make decisions on priorities for residents. So they do. I heard that a lot. And that's why the uptake is generally so well, is because they know that their voices are going to be heard. So I know Wendy and the crew have done a really good job of that over the years, and I encourage everyone to take part in the survey, fill that out. It's your way to have your say. That was one. We talked about the terms of reference for the new committee. It's now the Intergovernmental Affairs Committee, and I think that's a positive change. The relationship with government is very important in our town, the way that it's growing so rapidly, and making sure we have a great relationship with our two local MLAs and the federal government and the provincial government. So a lot of good discussion there at that meeting on how we kind of cultivate that partnership and grow the partnership and the collaboration there. We had an update on recent meetings that Mayor Ogden and CAO Crosby had with the provincial government on some priorities for the town. And that's generally it. It was a good first meeting to get to know each other and to talk about whatever it brings to the committee and where they see it going. And I think I share everyone's excitement in that and how we think that committees are going to really add value over the next couple of years, for sure. Last thing there was just talking about engagement stats. So Wendy always provides us with some great stats, and there was some good feedback there. You know, like I said, the town does a really good job getting the message out and hearing from residents. So again, with a lot of positive comments at that meeting too, and a lot of new faces that haven't been on committees before, and folks that were motivated to come out and join committees. So I appreciate the process, Wendy, that you went through, and with Jeremy and all the folks to come up with the rosters on these committees. It's really well thought out and really beneficial. So that is my report. Any questions?
Nope. Thank you, Councillor Jackson. Any questions around the table? Nothing. Okay, that ends the report. Then we'll move on to 17, Human Resources. I guess I'm chair of that committee. Just have looking at for maintenance there for the seniors complex. We hired a gentleman do the maintenance there. It's 20 hours per month. Is it him? Yeah. 20 hours, yeah. So that's update there. The other positions, Jeremy, you would know on the other positions in the town, HR.
There's a few HR items that we are working on, and we hope to have some further update on that in the near future, but we will be putting some postings out here very shortly to try to get some staff replaced that are out at this time, so we're working on it.
Okay, then we'll move on to any inquiries by members of council? Okay, we'll move down to other committees. I guess the Stratford Senior Report. I'm chair of that now, so I just read it here. There's a two-bedroom, here are a few items that we're working on. There's a two-bedroom unit was vacated at the beginning of January. Unit has been shown to people and on a waiting list. New tenants will move in on March 1st. Interviews were held for maintenance position. Person has been hired, waiting for record checks be received from the back from the RCMP. Jerry is retiring on February 22nd. He will work with the new hire to train on the new position. Quotes have been received for capital work on the seniors complex. Kim and Jerry will meet this week to review the quotes. Tender has been reviewed by a board to hire a firm to help with the new replacement plan as required by the CMHC. Staff will send it out shortly. The vacant unit that is subsidized, that is not located on 26 Months Drive, has been filled. We have rented a unit from Bevan Brothers for someone on a waiting list, and currently we have 20 people on the waiting list right now for rooms. And we're going to next week on Valentine's Day, we're going to have our first meeting. Kim, right? With the board, and so we'll see what happens there on Valentine's Day. So, but it's all positive. It's nice to see these units being filled, and with the shared income and so on. So it's great to see that need filled here in the community of Stratford, and maybe down the road we'll get some more buildings. So it's a great need here for our town of Stratford. Help our seniors.
Yeah.
Moving down to 20, appointment to
Well,
committee.
I just have one question
Yeah,
about
sorry.
this, Deputy Mayor. Maybe Kim might be the best person to ask. When we say currently we have 20 people on the waiting list, what's the staleness of that list?
It's fairly recent, actually, because we each year continue to go through the list, make sure that the phone numbers are current, contact the people, and make sure that they're still wishing to be on the list.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And the list, Kim and I talked about it, you go on the list and stay in that position, and then
Yeah.
you can say yes or no to it, and then if you say no to it, you move to the bottom of the list.
Yeah, you can say no twice,
You say
and
no
then,
twice?
then if you say no twice, you're moved to the bottom of the
Yeah.
list. But if you do know of anyone that would like to be on the list, we have applications here at the town hall or on the town website, and they can submit an application and get on the website, or get on the waiting list.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Just one question, Deputy Mayor Glant, you'd mentioned, first of all, these are great facilities to have within the community.
Yep.
And Stratford's not alone in housing crunch, as is the entire province and many other areas throughout the country. You had mentioned looking forward to potentially increasing the inventory of units within Stratford. And I was wondering, perhaps the CAO might speak to it, or you may have the answer, but what is the process for those developments? And might there, given the current environment in relation to the need, might there be any opportunities through provincial, federal grants to increase that inventory?
I know the CMHC has the looking after our building, the cost share, and if we didn't have CMHC there, I mean, the rents will be extremely high, right? So we will need support from CMHC. I know the buildings, after we take over the building, we're hoping CMHC continues the support, right, for low-income seniors. But down the road, like ascertain that, I mean, it's just, you're probably going to see requests for more of this, but then you're looking at land and so on, Councillor Dowling, and, you know, the process there. Kim can, or Jeremy could speak on it, or Kim.
Yeah, and I realize there are
Just
a lot.
looking, probably Councillor Dowling's looking for the program that we have now, the CMHC, and then if
Yeah.
we want to expand on it, you know what I mean?
I can talk on the CMHC item. So currently our building, it's a 35-year agreement and it does expire in 2025. We have been in discussion with CMHC to find out what is the planned, what's planned after that fact. And they are, at this point in time, saying that they'll continue an agreement. I don't know if it'll be the same. We also have St. John House that's in the same situation as us. It's the same type of building, and their agreement expires a year before us, so I'm kind of waiting to see what they do with them so that it'll kind of give us a little bit of a guidance on how ours will be handled. But that's how it's done with CMHC. We haven't had any discussions that I'm aware of, like recently with the province on any other type of funding around seniors or affordable housing for the seniors in recent years. It's all been mostly just around our own building.
And there, I know there is a lot of, or will be a lot of opportunity for additional units within the community in the coming years.
Yeah.
And perhaps some of those will be designated, or a considerable number of them will be designated as low-income housing as well. So, I mean, it's good to see that, you know, the community has been proactive in developing those facilities within the community, and I know the CAO is going, and yourself are always going to be on the lookout for any opportunities to increase the inventory if the grant money's available to do so. And I know through Councillor McDonald's committee, they're going to be keeping an eye out for any opportunities for low-income development within new construction as well. And that seems to be a fairly significant trend among a lot of communities, and I'm not sure what's entirely been planned to date with some of the developments that are pending, but put that out there as a hope at any rate.
There is, we have been approached by a few different developers in Stratford that are submitting applications to finance PEI for a new government initiative that's sponsored through them, and it's to increase affordable housing options within the town of Stratford. So I know we have done letters of support for 2 developers recently to that program.
No, it's a great question, Councillor Dowling. I totally agree. It'd be nice to have a couple more units put up in the town of Stratford down the road, and that it could, these people in there are on Canada Pension and CPP and OAS, right? And then it's great opportunity to them have a roof over their head, and with the, you know, and I know where you're coming from, but they're good comments. But I mean, as far as grants, I mean, we're always looking for grants and stuff like that. Yeah.
Sure. Just
Yep.
judging by the number of meetings that our CAO attends in relation to his report, I know he's always got his eye out for anything that's going to benefit our community, so that's greatly appreciated.
Thank you for your comments. Thank you very much. Okay, when appointments of committee and have a resolution to read, I'll turn over the resolution to the gentleman right beside me, Councillor McDonald. You can read that resolution.
Sure, that's fine.
And
Can everyone hear me? I just want to make sure. Okay,
Yeah.
great. All right, so this is Resolution CW 006 2023, Committee Member Appointments. Whereas Council has established a number of standing committees and subcommittees in the Council Procedural Bylaw, being Bylaw number 47, to advise and assist Council in its deliberations. And whereas the bylaw provides for the appointment of residents and stakeholders by Council to provide public input to Council in its deliberations, be it resolved then that the following residents and stakeholders be appointed to the standing committees and subcommittees for a 2-year term ending on November 30th, 2024 as follows. Recreation, Culture and Events Committee, Beth Grant and Kyle Hahn. Active Transportation Subcommittee, Dennis Dunn, Colette Gallant, Michael Judson, Sean McDougall and Tim Rose. Arts and Culture Subcommittee, Randy Doyle, Becca Griffin, Christina McLean, Sandra McMillan, and Gary Schoenfeld.
just need a seconder. Seconded by Councillor Dowling. Okay, any discussion? No discussion? All in favor?
Aye. I
Okay,
think the ayes have it. Yep.
That's it, yep, thank you. And move down to proclamations. There's nothing on proclamations. Other business, anybody got any other business? They can. Okay, so we're just good 5 minutes away from Compass, so we're out there, so. Anyways, make a motion to adjournment. Moved by Councillor Jackson, seconded by? All good?